So I'll tell you a story first. The story is that I cancelled last week's meeting because my beloved cat died and I couldn't stop sobbing. In fact, I couldn't stop wailing for a while. It was completely out of the blue, unexpected. You know, there is a kind of, you can prepare yourself for the loss of a loved one. And I did write a little thing saying that I used to be well, get a grip of yourself, it's only a fucking cat kind of person. That was me. Well, turns out not anymore. I couldn't have felt more bereft. It was devastating. And the reason I'm telling you that little tale is because I don't want to sell this, which isn't for sale, as some kind of antidote to the pain, the love of life, the love of love. It's quite the fucking opposite, it turns out. It's like whatever defenses you had, such as, well, it's only a fucking cat, they don't work anymore at all. It's without the one who is trying to keep it together, there is no keeping it together. There's no falling apart either. But it might feel like falling apart. Hold on, I've not got my computer plugged in, it's about to die. Hopefully that'll work. That's better. The screen's actually lit up now. I thought it was a bit dull. That's the level of my technical expertise. Plug the laptop in. So, yeah. So you couldn't get more paradoxical really than without the one who thought that they loved other beings, other things, others, in relationship with others, without that sense, there's no defense against love. And so there's no defense against grief. And grief is so obviously love, so often denied, making sadness the enemy in opposition to happiness when it's not at all. I think I used to think it was a British thing, this stiff upper lip kind of thing. This, you know, be a man, not show emotion. Big boys don't cry. Well, it seems the bigger I get, the more I cry. And I'm not saying that I'm not suggesting that it's strength, you know, because you can turn that around. I've heard that said that, you know, if real men do cry. I'm not talking about any of that shit. I'm just saying it's the most natural. Response. Because really life is always lost as it's found. There really is no, I mean, this word apparently and appearance, they get overused in these meetings. But disappearance tends not to. Well, there is no appearance without disappearance. They're not two. There is no space between what appears and disappears. That's the whole illusion, is that there is a space between. So you could say there's no appearance or disappearance, which is exactly the same as saying they're not two. The illusion is that things appear and they stay for a while. Well, the staying for a while, the continuation, does appear that way, but really, there's no continuation. This is always born and always passing away. And it's still a taboo talking about death. It was sex when I was a boy, and death. But death remains as a taboo. We just ignore it or tell fairy stories to each other about it. What it means fuck all. If it means anything, you've made that shit up. There is no meaning to death. Death is life. And nearly everyone I know or have ever known are hiding or running from the obviousness that this is always passing away. Not to somewhere else. Not to another side. Not to another realm. I mean, you can fantasize about all of that, but if there are other realms and dimensions, they're this too, they're here, they're present, they're not somewhere else. There's nowhere else. There's nowhere to get to, there's no escape, there's no becoming, there's no transformation, no awakening, no liberation, no enlightenment. The more I say that, the bigger my grin gets, because there's such a joy. There's just such a joy in there being nowhere else. I can't emphasize that enough. It's a fucking hopeless joy, but it's such a wondrous, simple joy. There's nothing else. There's nowhere else. I'm not saying make the most of it. That's completely out of your hands. Isn't that wonderful? All of your efforts for nothing. That's funny. Be honest. You never got anywhere. So there's nowhere to travel, no road to take, no journey. You didn't even get here. No. Don't think I know any of that bullshit that I've just come out with. I don't know any of that. It's just, it's just so glaringly obvious if it is. That's all. You don't need to know that. You won't know that. No one knows any of that. No one knows anything about this. Again, that might bring a smile. You might cry and laugh if it's obvious that there aren't any experts at all. There's expert engineers, there's expert quantum physicists, there's expert, I don't know, musicians, even American football players, but there aren't experts in this. You know right now as much as anyone has ever known about this. Isn't that? I know, I know you don't believe me. It's fine. You don't have to believe me. It's, I don't believe it either. It's, I don't mean you can't enjoy listening to those you like listening to. Some of you like listening to me, apparently. That's fine, but don't think they know anything of any significance. The reason I can say that with utter confidence is there is nothing of any significance. Unless you say so. That's all. That's all anyone's ever done. Said this is meaningful, that's not. This is true, that's not. This is real, that's not. None of it means anything. And I read endlessly. I studied looking for what unconditional love meant. Well, you won't find it, will you? It's unconditional. You can't find love when it's everything and nothing. So I'm not talking about finding. There's no finding. So I'm always happy to say this is not what you want, because you always want something else. That's what want means. I don't want this. I want some of this. I want the good bits. But just sort out the shit for me. There's no one going to do that for you. There is no doing that. There's nothing to be sorted out or made right or made good. Well, lovely to see you all. If you want to ask anything, just go ahead, put your hand up or just unmute yourself. And if you want to share anything. if no one's going to share anything, I'll give a quick plug. Annette, who's here with us this evening, she's invited me to Copenhagen again. So I put that on my website this week. So if you fancy, and it is wonderful, wonderful. If you fancy a weekend in Copenhagen, it is a great place to go. That's in the first weekend in October. So the details are on my website if you're interested in that.
Tim, I just wanted to say that was a beautiful opening. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Don't start me off. I can be sorry in a minute. Thanks. Thank you. I do think some people are drawn to non-duality because as an escape, you know, just like any other. It can sound like the ultimate escape. It's quite the opposite. It's the impossibility. There's no one to escape. How is that not heard? But it's not. I didn't hear that for years. I went to meetings for years and I never heard that there was no possibility of escape. Perhaps it wasn't said explicitly. Where the hell would you go?
Hey, Tim, it's Karen here.
Hi, Karen.
Hi. Recently, I stumbled across a bunch of the Dream Bus videos on YouTube.
You saw.
And there you were in the crowd.
That's when I'm. Yeah.
Go ahead.
That's in my. You're right.
Well, often smiling and often looking a little grumpy. And I thought to myself, you know, having met you after that, maybe this is silly to even ask, but what were your feelings or thoughts when you were sitting there, you know? Because it, like, sitting here for me, listening to you often brings up, well, it can absolutely bring up sort of delight or joy. And then, you know, like today, you know, I've been grieving for a couple of weeks now. So you talking about your grief was very powerful, helpful. I don't like the word powerful, but I was curious about how it felt to you. You were sitting there, I watched you. So there was Tony, I think there was Kenneth, and then there was Richard.
Yeah, there were.
You were in all the videos.
How was it? Yeah, it was great and dreadful because some of the speakers, I'm like going, get him off. You know, I would have thrown rotten tomatoes at some of them.
Yeah.
And then others, there was complete delight.
Yeah.
I do remember Lisa Cairns being there, and she was a total delight. And people, there were real intellectuals in the audience giving her like a grilling, really.
Right. Well, I'll have to look for that one.
And she just laughed at that. She laughed at the questions, didn't I? She just said, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I always find I don't know quite a delightful answer. I still do, really.
Yeah. When you were there, did you still consider yourself to be a seeker, or, you know, I don't know how to ask this question.
Yeah,
or have you already started to let go of that?
No, I was hero worshipping mostly.
Ah, okay.
like you do when you're a seeker.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I still thought they had something to give me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I did have a lot of fun though.
Mhm. Okay. Well, it's funny how worlds come together like that. I'm so used to seeing you like this and then watch it. And the camera liked you. It kept going to you. I don't know
Well,
if you noticed that. It
I
kept
can't.
going to you and the people around you. And I was like,
What can I say? I'm very photogenic.
yeah. Well, thanks for answering the
No,
question.
I've got really fond memories of it. I did get so drunk on the Saturday night that I couldn't find my way back to my hotel. That's probably my overriding memory, and I just was wandering around
Yeah.
drunkenly asking people. Fortunately, I could remember this. This was before any smartphone, so I've got no sat nav or anything. I just drunkenly asking people in the street at 1 a.m. I could just remember. Fortunately, I could remember the hotel. That's my abiding memory.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Okay. I liked the answer, the hero worship. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, when you worship a hero, you hate them as well.
Hmm.
Have you noticed that? Maybe it was just me, but if you have a hero, you can't help but resent. There's resentment in it as well.
Yeah.
You may keep quiet about it, but it is felt.
Huh.
Why can't I be where they are? When you're longing to be where another is because you've imagined that they're in a special place.
Hmm.
With the I think it's the same with every idol, really.
I can see that.
Maybe it's just me. But.
Well, no, I don't think it's just you. I think I just haven't noticed it yet.
Well,
Because
it depends what you think, but if you do have a sense of, that you want to be where someone else is, then there's sure to be some resentment.
right, that makes sense. It makes total sense.
I remember feeling that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you.
Oh, thanks, Karen.
Seeing your face everywhere these days. and not looking for it necessarily, but just having it pop up in all those videos is kind of funny.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. I hope to see you when you get to Sacramento.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that'd be lovely, Karen.
Yeah, if I'm still on the West Coast. I've been on the West Coast for a while, but I don't know if I'll still be here, but
Okay, that'd be great.
yeah. All right. Thanks, Tim.
Thanks. We'll never want to miss the chance for a plug. Sacramento, first week in May. Asheville last week in April.
Hey, Tim.
Hi, David.
Hi. It's interesting just being with you and just sharing a few things. I know the same grief that you just talked about and my own small animals. And it caught me by surprise too, how strong it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a shock.
Yeah. It's just good to be with you.
Oh, thanks, David. You too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
I'm always,
That was Evie, Tim, but I think her microphone's a bit low, Evie.
Oh,
Oh, there, you're okay now.
where's Evie?
yeah. Hi, Tim.
Hi, Evie.
I was just wanting to say how nice and quiet and just pleasant to be together like this. Not having to say anything, just,
Yeah. Well, I'm not usually quiet for long, Evie, am I?
yeah.
It's quite unusual to have any silence. And, you know, it's not that I'm uncomfortable with it at all. I just think, well, people have made the effort to get here. I ought to say some kinds of shit.
Yeah.
So usually I speak, but
I wanted to say it earlier already, but my washing machine was making such, as soon as I wanted to say it, my washing machine started to really loudly tumble. So
okay.
that moment was already past, but still I see that there's still some sort of, I don't know, pleasant, some sort of no rushing anywhere, something like that. Like,
No, nowhere to get to.
yeah, just being like this.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. That's nice.
Mm. Thanks.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
I'll ask another question, Tim, since nobody else is.
Sure, Karen.
So if we could talk about grief a little bit, what, I don't even know how to ask the question. What was grief like this time for you? And what was it like before? I mean,
It's always tricky, the comparison, isn't it?
I know it is. Asking the question still feels silly, but
No, no, it's not silly. But when you have an experience or there's emotion, it's kind of false to compare it. I mean, all comparison is kind of arbitrary, because you have to dredge up how it was, because that's not present, the emotion. You just, all you're doing, which is all I'm going to do now, is tell you a story comparing two events, that one that seemed to happen a week ago and one that happened a year ago. There is nothing in that. I mean, there's no substance in that. There's no significance in any of that comparison. It doesn't, but I can do it. I would say the grief is shockingly, you said you don't like this word, so I'm going to use it, powerful, much more full on, inescapable. There you go. I like that word. That's better than powerful. It's like, oh no, there is no possibility of not feeling this. You know how self, really, what is self? There is no self, but what self is, it wants to protect. Self is it's all innocent. What self tries to do is trying to save you from feeling fully, because self says, if I feel it all, it'll kill me.
Oh, this
will be too much. I won't be able to, if I cry fully, if I feel fully the loss, then the tears will never end. I just will not. I'll cry until I die.
Right. This is the perfect answer. I mean, this is exactly what I needed to hear. Thank you.
But the truth is, there is no truth. The truth is that in the absence of the resistance, I don't mean you accept, I don't mean you surrender. None of that. It's because it's choiceless. But if the emotion is fully felt, then it's gone. Fully felt, then totally absent. Don't get me wrong, it may well just appear unbidden again.
Mhm.
If I'm telling the story of the past week, you could just say it comes like a wave and just, and what does a wave do? A wave's a good analogy. A wave goes to a crest and then just breaks on the shore and is gone. Wave of emotion is a really good analogy. But of course, what do I do? What does self try and do? Tries to manage the wave like King Canute. You know, that's me, isn't it? I'm playing God. I'll manage this fucking emotion. That's not getting the better of me,
Right.
says me.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
without that resistance, then yeah, much more. But the thing about sadness, which we were taught when we were young, we were taught that sadness is wrong, that it's dangerous, that it indicates some kind of mistake, something is wrong because there's sadness. Not at all. Nothing could be further from the truth. It's the most natural expression of love. Don't ask me what love is. I haven't got a clue, but it very obviously is an expression of love without the resistance to it, without making it wrong in any way.
Yeah. I was surprised when you used the word wailing, that you wailed, because this week I said to somebody, I feel like there's a whale in me. And then I had to spell it because they're like, what? Like, no, WAIL,
Yeah,
of just, and I don't know how to let it out. It's like it drips out. You know what I mean?
I do know.
Yeah. And so where I am on the West Coast, I'm way north in California, not in the lovely parts where it's, well, sort of, sunny and all that. I'm up in sort of the rough hills and, very rough terrain. And I got myself out to this big cliff and tried to just wail. And it seemed so artificial. I couldn't do it. It just seemed like,
No,
well, now the feeling's not even there. Now it feels like I'm standing on a precipice overlooking the ocean and I need to just be safe because I could fall off this place.
yeah,
The whale, I tried to make it happen. I guess I'll say artificially, that
right.
it doesn't work.
No, I
Or it
wouldn't.
didn't
I
work.
know. I mean, you can do that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, people do it all
Oh
the time.
yeah. I mean,
There,
there's a whole
therapeutically.
industry in primal scream therapy. That,
Right.
yeah, I
Right.
mean that's well documented, and
Yeah.
no, I was shocked by the wailing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can feel it in me. I mean, I can feel
Yeah.
it even, arising about all of this, all I'll say the 50 years of seeking that I did,
Mhm.
the 20 before that was just surviving, but then the following 50 has been
Yeah.
nothing but seeking. And the wailing over, like grieving, not finding, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh no,
Grieving the end of it.
I grieved. Yeah.
You said that, and that's
Oh no,
actually
I
comforting.
again. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, no, you can't make that happen. You can't make anything happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I have no doubt you'll be wailing, Karen, when you least expect.
Yeah, me too. Well, I have a cat story for you. Since nobody else is raising their hand, if they do, I'll shut up. But my my cat that I had the longest, which was 18 years, when I had to have her put to sleep, I was holding her and I couldn't put her down. So there she is. She's dead. She's wrapped in a towel. And I take her home to decide to bury her. And this is such a strange story. I don't know why I'm sharing it, but I was so emotionally, it was shocking, overwhelming, the sense of loss, that I held her for hours. And then I put her in a box and covered her with some dried flowers that I had around. And even then, I couldn't just part with her.
Right.
You know, I just cried and cried and cried until finally a housemate of mine said, okay, this is, she's got to go in the ground. Like, she's got to go somewhere. And but I'll never forget the feeling. It was so pure and raw. You know, it felt more real than anything I'd ever felt before. And I'd gone through a lot of loss, but you know, she was in my life and with me during the birth of 2 babies. You know, there was such a long history of us together.
Yeah.
So I really could relate to your story about, you know, your cat. What was his name?
Cyril.
Cyril, right. He was
Cyril.
beautiful. He was beautiful too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Love the pictures of him.
Thanks.
Well, thank you.
Oh, you're
stop
welcome.
now. Yeah, really appreciate it, Tim.
It doesn't have to be a question. If you've got something that you'd like me to talk about rather than a specific question, by all means, ask me that.
Hi, Tim.
Hi, Natalie.
Natalie.
Hi, Natalie.
Hi. Hi. You know, the thing about crying or any of those emotions is they just kind of come on and then they go away. And it's like what would you say about this? Like the feeling that, like, if someone just keeps crying and they're like, oh, I've got to get myself together. I've got to get back to myself. I'm not myself. Why do I keep doing this? You know, that kind of feeling. And whatever gave us the idea that that's not just what we're doing, you know, that's just how it is right now, you know?
Yeah. Well, we're very heavily conditioned as children that crying is an indication that something's wrong. That's why. I mean,
Yeah.
my experience of being a young boy is really powerfully, don't cry. Don't cry. Don't cry, you'll upset your mother. That's powerful shit, Dan.
Yes, but why does that upset the mom? You know what I mean?
Because
why?
No, because well, it's very obvious why, because mum sees she had the same conditioning. So her child crying indicates that she's a bad mother. She's doing something wrong because the child's upset. She's made a mistake. She's made an error. She's at fault. So what do we learn very early in childhood is to hide it, to push it away, to repress it. to suppress it. I mean, it's the same with anger. They're the two taboo emotions, really. You know, be as happy as you want. Although there's some families where, you know, don't be too happy. If, you know, if mother's miserable, she doesn't want you to be too happy. That'll make your mother sad. So then you learn not to be happy as well. So you can't be sad, you can't be happy, you can't be angry. It doesn't leave much.
Oh.
And we wonder why there's why there's so much suffering. I mean, all of that is suffering.
Right, but it can't be any other way, right?
No, but being sad isn't suffering. Being sad is sad. That's not suffering. No. Saying that sadness is wrong and I need to do something about it, and what the hell am I going to do about it? That's suffering. No, I'm not suggesting there's anything to be done about it. No. It's just like a description rather than it's not a prescription. It may help a little bit just to see that, oh yeah, I mean, even if you let yourself off the hook, I mean, there isn't a self to be let off the hook, but if there's a real sense of yourself that you feel utterly responsible for everything that you feel and do and think, then just, if it becomes clear that, oh, well, it's inevitable that I am this way because look how mother was, look how, I mean, see, I don't say therapy is a waste of time. It's a waste of time in this pursuit, but not in for self feeling better, or at least a little bit more at peace with itself. I mean, that's a different story altogether, but that's how therapy works. Clarity can bring some peace. That's not what we're talking about, though. By therapy, I mean making things clear that were really muddy.
Yeah, I feel like the emotions just come out, and then some sort of thought comes in and says, oh, that was stupid. Why'd you do that? Like, and then it's just like, okay, well, I don't know why I'm thinking that. So I just, sometimes I just think, whatever, you know, so what, I wanted to. Or then sometimes I might think, yeah, that was really stupid, you know, but I never know how it's going to be until it's happening, you know. And I'll try to think, I think I might have done this, like I'll try to think, oh gosh, sorry, my son's trying to call me. I would think that sometimes I would think I'm going to be a certain way. And then if I wasn't that way, then I would be angry. But it's like, how would I ever know how I'm going to be until that situation is actually in front of me, you know? And I think that's the part I was just fooling myself, thinking that there was some sort of way that I could control these situations and I could be this one way when I could never be one way.
No, there's no one being anyway.
It's just how it is when it comes up, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, you could, I mean, don't chastise yourself too much for that, Natalie, because you and everyone else, that is what self does. Self is the illusion of I can control how I am.
Right. And it just is so,
you know, I can control being. Well, good luck with that. I think you failed enough to realize that's not very
I failed. I'm miserably a loser.
It's not very effective.
Yeah.
But of course, when all self does, when it's not effective at controlling how I am, how I feel, then it's just more fuel to chastise myself for being inadequate. It's just another failure. So we're talking about the impossibility of failure or success. Of course, the absence of the impossibility of failure would really sell, wouldn't it? I mean, there's a carrot that sells millions of copies, that book. But then there's a little caveat at the end. It's in tiny little print at the end of the book, almost too small to read. So no one sees it, and it says, of course, there's no possibility of success either. And that is what we're speaking of. There have never been successful human beings. None. Now, that's the most wonderful news that you could ever hear, but it's only for a few who can hear that as something incredible. I mean, it's beyond belief. It's the most amazing news. Not the absence of failure. I mean, that's what everyone is seeking. That's what all selves are after. I just don't want to fail. Fear of failure is, endless suffering. I don't know anyone who hasn't felt that. Longing for success, fear of failure. Well, of course, they're the same, aren't they? They're not really two things at all. It's the same striving. Sophie.
Yeah, in the same, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Good. In the same context, I was thinking like letting go, like the whole stuff of letting go. Is it also very much like the story of the me? Like there is nothing really to let go of? Like, for example, if I would have like all these thoughts in my head and like that person pop up again over and over and over again in my mind. And I don't want that, I just don't want that.
No.
So like I said, like maybe I could let go of it, but it just doesn't happen.
Yeah, so letting go is just the same as holding on.
Yeah.
Now, self tells a different story about those two, but they're not two at all. If you think about letting go is just as much a doing for the doer
Right.
as holding on is. So whether there's a sense of I need to let go or I need to hold on, it's the same game.
Right.
Exactly the same game. Because all it's doing is empowering me.
But it's very, very interesting what you're saying, because sometimes I do really feel that there's like really nothing to hold on to, but at the same time, some other stuff it's very difficult to let go of. Like I don't want to have those thoughts in my mind, for example.
No. No. So you don't want to think that all your favorite teachers have let go of everything. Or they're fully, all the spiritual stories of being fully surrendered.
Right.
Total acceptance. There's nothing, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with those, but I'm just saying they're just a different version of the same game that I play with myself.
Yeah. But there is nothing else to do because you can't.
No, that's why I'm saying there's nothing wrong with them. If there's a sense of, oh, I'm letting go of this now. And of course it can make, and I'm not going to say it can't make you feel better. It can't make a seeming, there can be a lightness with a sense of letting go. But just like everything else, if there is a sense of letting go, that's what's happening. That's all.
Yeah.
But how much does self love to give credit to itself for being? I mean, you could say some of the most arrogant people I've ever met are the ones who have surrendered the most or are the most accepting, and looking down their nose at you poor souls who have not fully surrendered to what is. Fuck off. There's no one to surrender to what is. There's what is. And not even that.
Well, it's really interesting because there's nothing like you cannot hold on to and you cannot let go. So it's like you can't do anything with it. It's just like
No.
and then it's disappearing by itself. It's just going by itself, but yeah, still.
But yeah, because I often, this can sound like surrender and it can sound like acceptance. It may do. It does for some people.
So
But that's not what's being said.
no. But so the other thing is like not resisting. Like if I don't resist, like I don't have to accept it. But if I don't resist, it's the only thing I can do, isn't it? That's the only thing that's left to do, I think. I'm playing around, I know.
I mean, really, whether there's resistance, whether there's holding on, or there's acceptance and surrender, there's no one doing any of that.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with any of it.
No.
But the problem is, you will hear so many speakers say that there is a way, that surrender is the way, rather than, you need to stop holding on and stop grasping and just be surrendered and let it all go. Well, that'll be the same one who was holding on, doing the let go.
Yeah.
There's nothing to hold on. I mean, really, there is absolutely nothing to hold on to or let go.
Yeah, right.
Now, if that's seen, that will be, I'll be amazed if it doesn't feel devastating, because if the illusion that you were holding on to something, it's not that you can't hold it anymore, that it's just not there. It's just, there is nothing that you were holding on to. So in that sense, it's not a letting go. There's nothing to let go of.
Right. I guess that's why there is therapy, right? That's what therapy does. Yeah.
Well, yeah. If you feel letting go would help, and of course, I was a therapist for a while, and I would have probably helped you let go, but not anymore.
No.
There's already nothing to hold on to.
Right.
So why would I advise you to let go of what isn't there?
I get it.
So really, there are no human beings who have anything already. Everyone. That's unconditional love. If you see everyone with nothing already, there's such an absolute equality,
Yeah.
I can't help but hear Tony's words when I say something. I hear what he would say, and he would say, "This is the absolute poverty." He said it. I heard him say it hundreds of times. The absolute poverty. There are no rich men.
There's nothing to do.
Or women. Oh, you do anything. It's not that there's nothing to do, there's just no one to do it. No. It's not that there's nothing to do. There's nothing to be done in that it would lead to something else. But doing, it's utterly free. Complete freedom.
And the interesting thing is it's anyway doesn't stay. Nothing is really permanent. So even like the thought I don't want to have, they also pass by themselves at the end.
Well, we all know that, but
yeah.
everything just,
There's another question I wanted to ask was when you said about like the fear of failure and then you say success. So is there anything that you would consider to be successful or success? No, nothing
Yeah,
at all.
of course, relatively anything that you yeah. So all success is relative. That's what I mean. So
Yeah.
in any field, any pursuit, there can be relative success or relative failure. But when it's seen to be just that, and of course by relative I mean a story.
Yeah.
Stories of comparison, because success only means compared to someone else. It doesn't mean there is no other success. So if that's seen, then immediately success, if success is only in relation to comparison with another, then of course that it is relative success still. And don't get me wrong, I'm talking the liberation. I mean, there is great liberation to be competitive. I still love to compete. I like winning. It means fuck all though. So the difference is the freedom is to compete, which is pleasurable, if you like,
Yeah.
competition and trying to succeed. So it's like it really is just a game. And by that, so most people who are outside of sport can see that, why do they get so upset about it? It's only a game. That was always leveled at me as a sportsman. It's only a game. Why do you get so passionate about it? Why are you getting angry? Why are you getting so emotional about it? It's only a game. Well, all of life is seen in that way. It's only, I mean, it's only a game. It's with, this is a play. In relation, it's not real. Just playing. So there's nothing wrong with success or failure. It's only a game. You know how seriously self takes life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, all the seriousness comes from it's my life. And it sounds like seriousness isn't the right word really, because it sounds like, okay, without me, it'd just be like I'm totally flippant about, you know, it's like you don't care. That's leveled at this message, you know, it's a message that doesn't care. Well, no, it's that the universe doesn't care. Human beings care. It's utterly natural. You can't not care. You can pretend you don't care. That's a lie. I know you care. It's just not your caring. Human beings are just naturally loving animals, loving their species and the other species. You can't help it. You probably protect yourself from it most of the time. Because it's too alive, too much love. But it's not.
So is there a fear from that, like too much life and too much freedom, or that's what you?
Well, I think for self, yeah. I think self's always afraid of particularly powerful emotions, and particularly afraid of love.
Yeah.
Often in the form of sadness. Because if I I can't do this, but self says if I allow love fully, the pain is going to be excruciating. I know it'll kill me. So I can't. I'm always protecting myself from love.
So what is love?
Is this?
Is this? So we're afraid of it.
Right, there is no love. There is no this. I haven't got any words. They're just.
Yeah.
I don't mean love is a thing. I don't mean this is a thing.
No, but I mean like we're afraid of this because this is just a lot. It's just if like.
No, it's everything. I mean, self doesn't want to feel everything.
Right.
I am. So what I am is the protection against feeling everything.
Yeah.
It'd be too much, I say. So I keep myself in a little box. You know what billionaires do. What do? The more you've got to lose, the more imprisoned you become. That's self. And billionaires are a good metaphor. Most billionaires live behind barbed wire fences with Rottweiler dogs and security guards with machine guns. Well, there's freedom for you. I mean, that sums up self and success. They're the successful selves, aren't they? They're what most selves aspire to. That imprisonment, that lack of freedom. Well, they're welcome to it, is what I say. Very welcome to that. Because the more you have, the more terrified you are of losing. And I don't just mean money, I mean self-beliefs are what self holds most dear. You know, what's precious to me. Me and my knowledge of what's right, what's true. So precious. And they're completely empty, all beliefs. They don't mean anything. They just mean something to me. And the others that I've drawn to me who will collude with me that we're right and all the other poor bastards are wrong.
Yeah. Thank you, Tim.
Oh, thanks, Sophie.
There's one more quick question in chat. Laura would like to know if the sense of friendship or interhuman relating has dropped for Tim.
No, not at all. It's much more intimate. Make sense of that. It's just like, it's so, I claim everything, don't I, for myself. So they're my relationships. So without me, there wouldn't be any relationships. No, relationships are completely natural. What you do is get in the fucking way and try and manage them and squeeze them and manipulate them and make them better. Well, you may have noticed trying to make a relationship better will usually destroy it. Because what are you saying immediately by trying to make a relationship better? You know, or stronger or more intimate or whatever you're doing with a relationship, what you're saying is it's wrong as it is. And you wonder why that's not, I don't understand. I've tried so hard and yet it's not working. Of course it's not fucking working. You're saying it's at fault. It's not. And the relationships are not yours already. And really what you are is the filter. You're like wearing 16 layers of clothing so no one can get too close. That's you. And your defenses, and your fear of the other. Don't let them get too close. Now be careful in relationships. My mother told me. You be careful, Timothy. Don't get too close. She was looking out for me because she knows that hurts the closer. But of course, really, there is no distance. So there is no closer or further away, just more illusion. No one to be closer or not together or apart. Oh, very profound, Tim. I'm going to finish on that. Sounded quite good.
Tim, I wanted to just add, much of that really was profound. Something was really
Don't spoil it, Karen. Don't spoil it.
something was
I'm
really
joking. Go on.
piercing today. It was just, I had moments of really receiving what you were saying, and
Oh, thanks. Well, you know,
I have to thank you with all my heart. Wow, I'll even go so far as to say it was powerful.
really don't like that word powerful,
Yeah,
said Karen.
Yeah.
Now you've changed your mind.
I've changed my mind because there were moments there where I felt like the receiving really happened, and so thank you.
Oh, thanks, Karen.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
No, lovely to see you all. I'll have another meeting next Thursday, and I'll advertise that. And I'm in Hampstead on the 15th of April. And I'm in Asheville on the 27th of April for my birthday. Little plug there. A few gifts won't go amiss. Just a minute. And then I'm in Sacramento on the 6th of May. No, 5th of May. Lovely to see you all. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Darren.
Thanks,
You're welcome.
so much,
Thank you.
Tim.
Bye.
you.
Thanks,
Great
Tim.
meeting.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Thank
Tim.
you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Tim.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Tim.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, Tim.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.